Hi guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thanks very much for joining me today. As you can tell by the title, in this video, I'm just going to talk to you about mental health and art and how the two kind of combine. Um, Now, I've been kind of toying with the idea of making this video for a while now. And the reason why I've made it and been thinking about making it is because when I first got into art and I put up my YouTube videos and I put up my account of what happened to me on my art or on my website, I've received an awful lot of emails from various different people all around the world who have shared their experiences with me and how art has helped them and how they have had been dealing with mental health issues prior to getting involved in art, that type of thing. But before I go any further with making this video, I just want to make a few things very clear. I am not qualified to tell anybody how to do things medically or anything like that. This is not me telling anybody else how to do things. This is just me explaining what has happened to me. And if you are someone who is suffering with mental health, or you think that you might have the symptoms of some facet of a mental health issue that you might be dealing with, my advice is to before you start anything, before you try anything, is to go and seek medical professional help. That's what doctors are there for. They will be able to diagnose, they will be able to set you on the right path. And then once you've got yourself sorted out with the doctor and you know for definite that you have a mental health issue, then perhaps you can try what I'm going to explain to you here and what has helped me. But until then, it is so important that you go and seek professional help. So I've done a little bit of since I got into art, I've done a little bit of research about this as well, and in that I have found that more and more mental health is becoming such a huge problem right across the board with professionals. Not just artists or anything like that. The sports professionals, actors, politicians. One thing about mental health is it doesn't discriminate. It attaches itself to anybody, regardless of your race, your skin color, your cultural background, your religious beliefs, anything. It doesn't really matter. And I suppose people that have been dealing with mental health have got that in common, and it is something that is attributed a lot of stigma. People say, just shake yourself out of it, get over it and stuff like that, and get on with things, or do this, that and the other thing. And it's not that simple always. So what happened to me was, from a very young age, from right back as far as I can remember, all I ever wanted to do was be a soldier. That was it. I signed up to the army when I was 14, I believe, but I had to wait until I was 16 until I could go into the army. I had to get my parents' consent. When I went into the army, I joined at 16. I came out of school. I was only out of school a few months, and then I was straight into the army at 16. I loved my career in the army. I got up for work every single day, and never once did I ever think about leaving the army, or never once did I complain about my job or anything like that. I loved it 100%. And it was my career, and obviously I got married while I was in the army, which I can always remember my dad saying, getting married, being married to somebody in the army is really incredibly difficult. It's a difficult thing. Marriage is difficult in any case, but to be married in the army, that's even more difficult, especially for the women, because when you go away somewhere, they're left alone to fend for themselves and get themselves sorted out. But I was fortunate enough that with Vicky fully understood everything about the army before we got married. She was fully prepared for everything, and I was just very fortunate that I married a woman who was prepared for everything. And was a true partner in the true sense of the word, that helped me through all the different things, and we helped each other through things. So coming up to the injury, I had this injury on my spine, and from the moment I was told that I wouldn't be able to serve in the British Army any longer as a result of my injury, that was it. I went downhill pretty much instantaneously. I started thinking all sorts of different things. I started getting I started questioning myself as a man, as someone that's. We had just had our first daughter then. She was just, in actual fact, we had just had Neve then. When I was told that I wouldn't be in the army anymore. So I started questioning all sorts of things, whether I was going to be able to support my family. I didn't know how I was going to be able to support my family. The thing about me was, if for any reason I had decided to come out of the army by choice, I would have went into something like the police or the fire service or something along that military type line. But all of those avenues were completely closed off to me now, because obviously if I could have done those, I would have been able to stay in the army. And so I kept coming up with all these. I started thinking about all of these things, and I can remember vividly one night, and this is how I knew how bad things were. I can remember one night being in our house, and Vicky was upstairs in bed with Neve. Neve was a very tiny baby at the time, and I was playing music in our living room, and Vicky had come down to tell me to turn the music down. And at the time when she walked into the living room to tell me to turn the music down, I was convinced that I was stood in that living room with all my friends. Because we used to have parties in any case, Vicky and I, we would always have, like, because it was an army environment and stuff like that, we would all go around to each other's houses. Our neighbours were our friends. Our neighbours were the people that we were going to these parties with and having and stuff like that. So we would have parties regularly before we had Neve. And before she opened that door, I was convinced 100% that I was stood in that room with all my friends, and I actually convinced that Vicky was there as well. And when she opened that door, I was stood in that living room by myself with music playing quite loud. And I knew at that point that I had serious problems, that I had put myself into such a deep hole that I really didn't know how to get out of it. And at that time either, I wasn't really interested in coming out of it, because I thought sticking around, being around, was going to be much more of a hindrance, was going to cause much more problems for my then just daughter at the time. For her future, she wasn't going to see a dad who was going out working properly and stuff like that, and holding down a proper 9-to-5 job or whatever, like a career. And I didn't want her growing up thinking that was normal, not to work or anything like that. So fast forward now to I had gone through various stages of severe clinical depression, PTSD, call it what you will. And I had just got to the very, very lowest depths that it could do. When I finally kind of like admitted that this was an issue and I had to do something about it, and I wasn't going to be selfish, and I was going to try and start thinking about my family and my children. That was when I kind of started turning towards art and stuff. Now, when I say I've done some research, because I get asked this question about how art has helped me deal with my mental issues. What about art is it in specific terms that has helped me get through some dark times for me? And to be quite honest with you, at the time I didn't really know I couldn't really put my finger on it, what it was. But I've done a little bit of research, and this is what I come up with, and this is my theory. It's a simple theory of mine. It's not medically or scientifically proven or anything like that. when I was doing the research about depression and things like that, there was a lot of stuff that was popping up with regards to like people who become addicted to things, like gambling, that type of thing, and in specific slot machines, casinos, that type of thing. And what a lot of the information that I was reading back then was that people who are addicted to, the slot machines, the you go in, you put the money in, and you pull the lever, and you've got all these fancy lights and all that. All of those colourful lights, they're there for a reason. And part of that reason is that when the brain sees colourful lights, colourful things, it releases endorphins, and it can give certain people that kind of that feeling of they need to go back for that feeling that they get when they're in front of these bright lights and colours. And that's what I know with gamblers, a lot of it is money orientated. They like the thrill of the money and stuff like that. But one of the things that pulls them into it is these flashing lights and the colours and all the rest of it, and the glamour behind it and stuff like that. And it's all set there by design. There's a reason why when you go in, I've never been to a casino anywhere actually, but if you go into the casinos in Vegas and places like that, there's a reason why they are completely littered with beautiful, colourful lights. It's kind of like we're like a moth to a flame. We go into these places completely in awe of all these beautiful, colourful lights. And my theory is that art is a similar thing for people that deal with depression. Hence the reason why these adult colouring books have come out, and they're so popular amongst so many different genres of people. Elderly people, young kids now that are getting into these adult colouring books because they're so intricate and stuff like that. But they give the person, and even on the likes of iPads and stuff like that, you can download these adult colouring books in iPads, which allows these kids as well to be able to just colour in and do whatever they want and then keep redoing it, that type of thing. But a lot of it is to do with the fact that they are surrounded in colour, and colour is one of the I know we talk about colour theory here as artists when we're talking about blending and mixing colours and different colours to go together and stuff like that, but there's kind of like a colour therapy as well, where they use colours and bright colours and stuff like that to help stimulate, say, like autistic children and stuff like that. And this is what I believe is going on within the mental health. If you look through some of my reviews, one of the types of pencils that I've reviewed in the past is the Cobra, Scorpion, and Black Widow pencils, and they were done by a guy in Australia who was heavily involved in mental health, and that was the reason why he had brought those pencils out. If you want to read up more about that, you can do in the review. I'll put a link down to it down below. But he obviously understands in great detail about the scientific things behind, reasons behind mental health and colour and stuff like that. And that's why I'm sure some of you are saying, but hang on a second, Harry, art can be really quite frustrating, and it can cause more frustration rather than a calming environment that somebody who's suffering with mental health. And you are right. It can be like that, but it's not always like that. So long as the person that's going into it understands that the art that they're doing is for them, it's not for anybody else. It doesn't have to be critiqued. It doesn't have to, it's just got to please them. Once they get over that hurdle, then art does help them with regards to their mental health. Unfortunately, in this day and age, mental health is becoming much less about what we would have ordinarily attributed mental health to people in their, like my age now, 40 odds, 50 odds, that type of age group and above. Unfortunately now it's creeping into children at a very young age, and suicide rates in children and stuff like that are at an all-time high, which is absolutely heart-wrenching to think that children of 13 and 14, sometimes younger, are so low within their own lives that's the only route that they feel that they can go down, and obviously something needs to be done about that. I'm not suggesting for a second watching videos like this is going to help kids like that, because I don't think it will. It's going to take much more. But it is important to understand that things like art can be a huge contributing factor to helping somebody get out of that deep dark hole that they maybe have found themselves in because of one thing or another, whether it's financial, whether it's family related, whether it's work related, career related, like it was with me. There's a whole gamut of different reasons why people fall into depression. And it is such a destructive thing to happen to anybody. So one of the things that I have found really enlightening and humbling for me is the emails that I've received from a lot of you guys. And believe me, every single person that has sent me an email, it is 100% confidential. I've never spoke to anybody about any of the emails I've received, nor will I. But it's actually really humbling knowing that people were quite happy to open up and share their deepest, darkest, most intimate times in their life with me. And I've always thought that if that is the type of thing that can help somebody as well, then I'm all for that. I'm absolutely more than happy to have people email me and talk to me about whatever issues they have, because if it helps them, then that's a bonus, and that's what this is all about. And I think that's what's so wonderful about art as well. Art is, when I'm sat here at my desk and I'm looking around me and I'm surrounded with all these beautiful, colored pencils and markers and watercolor paints and all the rest of it. It's just, my desk is just awash with color. And when I sit down on it, even though I'm in a lot of pain and stuff like that, it doesn't take the pain away, but it certainly takes away from my head that I'm in a lot of pain. I'm sat here and I'm doing nothing about it. When I'm sat in front of all my art supplies and I can sit down and do something that I enjoy so much, it helps. It really does help, and it helps from getting into a much more deeper cycle of what depression can obviously come into, where I was a long time ago before I found art. Obviously where I am today. And please as well, this is not a video where I am want sympathy from anybody, because the place that I am at now, mentally speaking, I haven't been like this for a long time. So I'm in a really good place at the minute, mentally speaking. I certainly don't have the issues that I did all those years ago when I first found out I was being medically discharged from the army, and that was the end of my career, and I didn't know how I was going to provide for my family. I'm the only person in my family, and even Victoria's family as well, I'm the only person that has ever had to have a benefit handout at one point or another. And that destroys me completely, to feel that I've had to go down that route. And I'm not saying that people on benefits are wrong, because it's not. It's a system that's set up for people to get them through a certain period. But I always see myself as someone that was able and quite willing to provide for myself and support my family and support everything that I need or want and stuff like that, and not have it from other people. So that was always difficult for me to swallow and to get around. Anyway, guys, I hope somebody has found this video helpful. I know I've gone on a little bit talking about this, but it is a subject that a lot of people have asked me to talk about. And like I say, I've received a lot of emails and stuff like that, so I know that there are a lot of people that suffer with this, and so I just thought that maybe making this video might in some ways help somebody. And even if you don't send me an email or anything like that, talk to somebody. There's somebody out there that you know, if you are suffering with mental health, there's somebody out there that you know who you can sit down and trust in and can talk to about this. And even if there isn't, sometimes talking to a stranger, talking to someone like me who you may not know personally, but you know from interacting with them on YouTube or Facebook or something like that, you know that you can trust them. sometimes something like that can help, even if it just means that you have somebody listening to you while you offload. It can be a huge help. And like I say, obviously art has been the main contributing factor for me getting over PTSD and the issues that I had surrounding that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to leave any comments down below, you can do so. And also, if you want to send me some emails or anything like that, I always reply to emails and comments. I try to reply to as many comments as I possibly can, but I just give me a week or so. If you put a comment down, I will get round to it eventually. Obviously, as my subscribers grow, it's just a little bit more difficult to get there as quick as I used to be able to. But I will. I'll never just ignore people. So anyway, thanks very much. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video, which will obviously be a proper review. It'll be what this channel's about. So thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time. Bye.